Happy Spiritual Sunday to you all. Well, I hope you had a great week. Hope everything's going well for you, or better. Let's put it that way. Our job is just to have progress. If we see progress, then we know we're doing the right things and we're heading in the right direction. And then it comes down to just commitment. The more we'll keep the focus, the more we'll make an effort, the more things will improve. Okay? So let's start as we do every week. Let's start with our affirmation, because the point of the affirmation is to keep reminding ourselves. It's like, I remember years ago, somebody gave me a bowling ball. I like to bowl, haven't done too much of it recently, but somebody gave me a bowling ball and I had to have it re-drilled. What did they do? They filled in the holes from the person who had the ball before me. They filled it in and then they re-drilled it. So in a very simple way, this is what you and I are doing. We've created holes, which we'll talk about today, actually. We've created holes, so to speak, in our capabilities. We've created holes in our life. So what you and I are learning to do is fill those holes in and re-drill them with truth, with light, with blessings, with all the things that we are meant to achieve in this world. So this is why it's so valuable to do our affirmation. So we'll do it together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. So, years ago, my father, may rest in peace, or he's really not resting, he's back again. It's been about 15 years now. He always loved going to these stage shows with a hypnotist, because he liked being hypnotized and then, sort of being entertainment for people. But we've all seen that kind of thing. People get hypnotized and then they do silly things. That's usually the entertainment. They make them go to sleep, they give them things to do, they make them imagine whatever. They're in different situations and watch them respond and things like this. But we've all come, and then there's the people who go to hypnosis to work on overcoming their addictions or things like that in a good way. So what I wanted us to understand is that for thousands of years, you and I have been in a hypnotic state where we don't know, we don't realize what we're doing. And in essence, in this hypnotic state that we are in, we're being robbed. Literally robbed every day of our life. And so I was inspired in these last few days to share this idea with you. What are we robbed of? We're robbed of our divinity. We're robbed of our divine right. The Creator created us pure and perfect. We are pure and perfect beings of light. We've been given the power of the Creator. We've been given the essence of lasting blessings, love, health, peace, good relationships, guidance, protection, divine inspiration. This is what we've already been given, and yet we feel we're lacking it. Think about what you feel you're lacking. What are you missing? And then ask yourself the question, why are you feeling that lack? Why are you thinking or feeling or imagining that you have the ability or possibility to have or do those things? Because not all of us have those same images. We all have a different sense of lack and feel that we are missing or lacking different things. Not all of us in all the ways. So let's start with a simple idea. How did we get in this hypnotic state? Who did it to us? And so we simply go back to Kabbalah 1, if you've taken the classes, and understanding who has put us in this hypnotic state. It's called the opponent. The opponent, that negative voice in our head, that add-on voice. It's not the real us, but we've learned it's there to give us free will, which we're going to see how it all got started that way. But that opponent, because it has no life of its own, we have been given life, light, filling our soul by the Creator. We have been given a piece of the Creator that gives us that ability and capability of tremendous creative power to manifest all those blessings that are already inside of us. That's why we feel we're missing or lacking something, because we feel it inside our soul. We look outside and don't see it, and therefore we feel, we understand, we experience, we're missing it. We're missing the joy of it. We're missing the fulfillment of it. We're missing the blessing of whatever those things are. So this opponent in our head, this is actually competing for our light. The Creator put it in us. Our work in this world is to let it out into the world, to reveal it, and therefore manifest lasting blessings, as we said, of health and peace and love and prosperity and guidance and all those good things. But that opponent in our head is competing for the light, our light, because it has no life of its own, like a parasite. That's why I like to use that idea. Parasite has no life of its own. It only exists and lives off the energy that it can take from its host. Its host. So, where does it start? The hypnotic state started back in the Garden of Eden. And for those of you who may be new to us, the Kabbalists teach us that the 5 books of Moses is real. Those people existed. They did things that we read about. We have to understand, though, that it's not just to be taken on its literal level. If you try, there's going to be a lot of things that are contradictory, confusing, seemingly against what we would call the goodness of the Creator. The goodness of the Creator. So we've learned to use the Zohar and the Kabbalistic wisdom as a way to unlock the code of the technology of the universe, the universal laws of our soul, of the spiritual universe, that these stories and these people were showing us. So you go back to the story of the Garden of Eden. Simple terms, 2 trees. Those 2 trees, Kabbalistically, correspond to the 2 realms that you and I live in this world. We live in what's called the 1%, the world of the 5 senses, the world, as we call it, of illusion. And for those, again, of you that are new, or we can all use a good reminder, illusion doesn't mean relative to this world that it's non-existent. In other words, you pinch me, I feel that pinch, and if you pinch me hard enough, it's going to hurt. So that's not the illusion. The illusion aspect means where the 5 senses confuse us. My simple example is you go to the movie with a friend, you're watching the same movie, one of you likes it, one of you don't. Okay, you can say it's my preference and this, but in essence, it's the same movie. There can be an event that takes place in the world. Some people will see it as good, some as bad. Some people will look at a situation in the world, let's say a business situation. Some will see the opportunity to achieve, to grow, to create abundance, and another will see nothing. Limitation, emptiness. You know, years and years ago, if you're familiar, if you know the California area, there's an area called Palos Verdes, one of the more affluent areas here in the Southern California. But you go back like 50, 60 years, it was just grass and sheep grazing. So there were people who could have bought land in Palos Verdes, but they look up there, sheep grazing. What's it ever going to become? Other people could look at it and say, wow, one day you could build houses, it's a hill overlooking the ocean, and they could perceive opportunity. That's the idea of the illusion, that a thing happens, you and I can decide and do decide what it will bring to us down the line. Either order, chaos, light, darkness. That's the aspect of illusion. So there's the tree of knowledge, good and evil, which means that illusion, good and evil. Something could look good, something could look bad, like we were just explaining. Then there was the other tree, the tree of life. That should be a hint to us that it corresponds to what we call the 99%. The world that's here, from where we get our inspiration, our intuitive flashes, as some people call them, their gut feeling. We get those moments where we see reality, where it is just pure light, pure love, pure unity, all the solutions, all the answers that we're looking for lasting fulfillment exist there. Now, what comes along? And so think of how this works in your life. The competitor, this opponent, who's given the name biblically the snake or the serpent, doesn't really say snake, the serpent, comes along to Adam and Eve, and what does he do? He taunts them. Don't you want to be like God? You know, God knows everything. So if you were to partake of the tree of knowledge, good and evil, you would know everything also. Don't you want to be smart? Don't you want to be intelligent? Don't you really want to be and do what God does? All these taunting, tempting things that really are putting us into a hypnotic state. Think of how in our life we are tempted and taunted. We have been. Think of the last time you thought, oh, I have to buy that widget, whatever that may be, and you went to buy it. And in the first moment, great, wonderful, you enjoyed it. But the next day, 2 days later, a week later, the fulfillment was gone. That's the tree of knowledge, good and evil. That's temporary fulfillment. The tree of life is the lasting fulfillment. So this competitor, in order to draw, and if you will, steal Adam and Eve's energy, and in essence, put them to sleep in this hypnotic state, hypnotize them with, wow, you could be like God. You could do all these amazing things and all this, which spiritually, because I hear some of you saying, well, isn't that what you teach in Kabbalah? Yes, and we'll talk about some of that also today. It is true. But like they say, a good lie stands on 3 legs. So it is true. We want to be like the Creator. We want to act like God. We want to have lasting fulfillment. We want to be able to connect to all the solutions and all the blessings. Then came that 4th leg that, if you will, was broken, that the lie part, so you have to eat or partake of this world and then fall into that trance of the 5 senses. Only what I see, only what I can feel, only what I can taste. Like the Rav and Karen used to call it, seeing is believing. Right? No, that's the illusion. What's reality is believing, having certainty becomes seeing. That's what you and I learn in the center. So anyway, you and I as Adam and Eve, because that's who we are from there, we chose to separate our physical world from the world of reality. The 1% from the 99%. And at that moment then, when the competitor put us in that hypnotic state, that's when we plunged into pain, suffering, death, all the chaos of this world. And we've been working for thousands of years to get ourselves out of the hypnotic state and back into living this life in the physical world, but guided only from the 99%, from the light of the Creator inside of us, from the true reality of the light, which is the only source of lasting fulfillment. So we're not seeing the truth, and in the moment of the hypnotic state, we lost perception that we are pure and perfect beings of light, that we are powerful, superhuman beings. And if you think for a moment, as we affirmed consciousness is everything, what does it mean to be superhuman? Beyond human limitations, super, above, transcendent. So the truth is, we are divine beings, pieces of the Creator, that's our soul energy, living in this world, because it's a physical world, with a physical body. And we also want to keep in mind that the Garden of Eden, the heaven on earth, is a reality. That's the truth. In our trance state, we don't see it, because the trance is where we only perceive with the five senses and not with the sixth sense of hearing the voice of our soul, remembering who we are. So think about in your life right now, what's in your life, what's going on in your life now that you don't believe, that you can transform it, you can overcome it, or there's a solution. Things like, how are you maybe hearing inside your head? I can't do this, it's overwhelming, I have too much guilt and fear, the world is against me, I'm too young, too old, the opportunity's gone past already, won't come back again. Or if you're in the center, you're probably familiar with this. My tikkun, my correction, or some of you who are new might understand it as karma. My tikkun is too difficult for me. It's just too much. Think how those things are limiting you from having the life that you are imagining, have imagined, that you're supposed to have. A life of complete bliss, joy, happiness, peace, prosperity, great relationships, harmony among the world. If you think Superman, Superwoman, if you remember the stories, they have superpowers. When they're exposed to kryptonite, they don't have the ability, their powers are weakened. They don't have the ability to make use of their powers. We want to keep in mind, they didn't lose their powers. They were just weakened by the kryptonite, so they were unable to use their powers. If you're understanding today, it's that same idea. When they removed the kryptonite, the powers were then again usable, revealed. What about us? The same thing. We have been given a piece of the light of the Creator. And whether we realize it or not, every day, every decision, we are creating our destiny. We have created everything that shows up in our life today. We have created by the choices we made. Tree of knowledge, tree of life, keeping them together or separating them. Every choice we make is one or the other. Strengthening the connection between them so that we're drawing more and more from our pure and perfect self, our superpowers, and then expressing those powers in this world, or disconnecting, as we learned about the story of Adam and Eve, giving into, oh, I just want right now this instant gratification. Just give me what I want now, and then it disappears, falling into that trance. Because that's when the opponent, this competitor, is, if you will, winning the point. Piece of light coming down, we have the opportunity to reveal it as lasting blessings. We give in to that voice in our head, as we call it, reactive behavior, desire to see for oneself alone, give me now, not perceiving the long-term effects of that decision, and boom, we lose the power. But the moment, which is the point of today, that we break that hypnotic trance. We break that state that we've been put in where we only believe in the five sense world. When we'll wake up out of that trance, it will be like removing the kryptonite. So I want to give you a couple stories. There's a biblical story of a man named Pinchas. Pinchas was the grandson of Aaron. Aaron, the brother of Moses. Aaron, who was a Kohen, a priest, meaning like a spiritual leader, the one who drew mercy out of the cosmos, the one who helped divine for people through the tools that he was given to help them understand how to deal with their tikkun, how to help them fix whatever mistakes they had made, etc. So here was this Pinchas, the grandson, and all the Kabbalists explain that he was not, up to this point, a very outstanding person. He was in fact perceived by others as a nobody. Nothing outstanding, nothing particular, no achievements, that sort of thing. Think of yourself and how and where and in which way you perceive about yourself. Not even what other people may perceive, but how is it that you may perceive yourself in those ways? Nobody special. No, nothing outstanding. You're a good person, a nice person, but as some people might think, sort of just, that average person, just a nice guy, that sort of thing. So here's this Pinchas, and in the desert, which is where this story takes place, there were 3 million Israelites. Now, something happens, and a plague gets started. A couple people start doing very negative things, and they draw other people into it. Like we see in the world today. You've got 2 people who start rabble-rousing, and other people join in. Because in a similar way as the opponent does to us, a person who is open to that will be the instigators to activate the opponent energy and other people. And so then the crowds start, and this plague starts to take place. Thousands of people involved in negative behavior, and left unchecked could have spread and killed all the Israelite population, all of us in the desert. So here's Pinchas, in a trance like everybody else, sort of just letting things go, as most of these people weren't paying attention. They were busy with their own thing, whatever their life, packing, moving, whatever may have been in their world, dealing with their daily family, their daily life, whatever they were doing. And they were just in the hypnotic trance. But something in Pinchas woke up. His desires, the Kabbalists explain it, his desire to remove pain and suffering from other people. That's what woke up. His desire to stop the plague, because he was able to see, left unchecked, would have basically destroyed the world. So he was willing to do an action essentially of overcoming his comfort zone. They call it an action of self-sacrifice. So yes, in the very extreme, we probably heard those stories. In some war, in some battle, a grenade gets thrown into a platoon and somebody jumps on it and willing to sacrifice themselves for the good of others. We have other ways to do similar things. It doesn't have to be to that extreme, but here was Pinchas. He woke up, he did what he needed to do to remove the cause of the plague. Not the effects of the plague, the cause of the plague. Willing to give up of himself, willing not to concern himself about what other people might say, how they might make fun of him, or what they might perceive of him. His focus was how to stop pain and suffering of other people. And because he was willing to do that, the Kabbalists explain, he was given eternal life, eternal blessings. Meaning, as we understand, he was able to reveal all of the light of his soul, which is eternal bliss. Our job, our mission in this world, when we left the endless world, was to do that, reveal our light and manifest and therefore experience eternal blessings, not temporary. We've all had that over and over and over again. Yes, this is good, then it goes bad. We want this, we get it, and then it's not totally fulfilling. Things sort of lose their glamour, lose their sparkliness. This is eternal. So this is Pinchas, woke up and was willing to do what he needed to do and therefore given eternal bliss. We've probably heard many times there are stories of people in our day and age that in a moment of challenging situations, the first one I remember hearing way back when I was in elementary school, there was an older woman who saw her husband, who had the car up on a jack and was working on something, or the tire, whatever it was, and the jack broke and fell. In her perception, she saw her husband trapped under the car. And without thinking, and that's the key, she was able to pick up the car and he could get out. Superhuman ability. And we've heard things like that. People, who carried whatever, a 250-pound person or things like that, people doing superhuman things in that moment of, as we now would talk about it, forgetting their limitations. In other words, this woman didn't say, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I can't pick up a car, it weighs so much, etc. No, she was focused on what? In a similar way to this Pinchas, she wanted to remove the pain and suffering, in this case of her husband, that she saw was trapped under the car. That was her focus. And because she did that, she was able to use more of her superhuman, divine abilities and pick up the car and take out her husband. We can do the same thing. We have that capability. We just have to focus on how to forget our limitations. Or let's look at it even better. Remember who we are. Wake up. When you're out of the hypnotic state, you remember. There are movies like that. If you watch the movies, where people are, whatever, in these cases, maybe given drugs or something to forget, and then their brains have been like a hypnotic state. They've been programmed to forget their original identity and given a new identity. Well, that's us. We were given by the Creator the identity of divine beings, actually pieces of the Creator incarnate in a physical body. That's our true identity. Unfortunately, we allowed ourselves to be brainwashed, hypnotic state by this competitor, this opponent in our head, to believe we are less than our true identity, that we are incapable of doing certain things. Remember, and I probably used it recently, the 4-minute mile, right? There's the stories that years ago, before the first 4-minute mile was run, people were told physiologically, the physical body could not run a 4-minute mile. And because people just unconsciously, for most, accepted it, that was the way it was. Like Pinchas, this plague was going on. Most of the 3 million people probably thinking to them in sort of the same way. Well, this is what goes on. This is what's happening. I'm sorry for their trouble, their problems, or whatever, but just going to go on with my life. And again, not in a bad way, but just a distracted way. Just a distracted way. So along came one person who decided that they were capable to run a 4-minute mile. And what happened? Because of their decision, like Pinchas overcame his sleep, his limitations, his brainwashing of a false identity. So Roger Bannister also overcame in whatever way, and I don't know that story, how he did it, what his mindset was, or what have you, but he did it, and he broke the 4-minute mile. Blessing for us to learn from that story also. When Roger Bannister was able to break the 4-minute mile, he woke up other people out of their false identity, out of their spiritual stupor, if you will, out of their trance. And they woke up and saw, well, if he can do it, I can do it also. And they did. Shortly after he broke the 4-minute mile, all of a sudden there were many other people breaking the 4-minute mile. Now, I also want to remind us, it may not be our capability to break the 4-minute mile. At least I could say for me, right? Maybe some of you might be thinking, well, Chaim, that's just your limitation, and you might be right, but it's not in my desire. And we've all been given, in our piece of the Creator inside of us, our piece of the puzzle of humanity, to bring back all those 8 billion pieces of the one soul back into harmony and unity. So the piece of the light of the Creator inside of us, each of us have unique talents and abilities, unique capabilities, and a unique mission within the frame of the only thing we came into this world to do, was to reveal all the light of our soul, and in the case as we've lived it now, bring together in unity, harmony, love, and peace the 8 billion pieces of that one soul, that one vessel, we call it, that the Creator created in the endless that came down into this world. That's our work. So when we see, well, one person can do it, then we can also, in a similar way. So we may not be wanting to run a 4-minute mile, but there are things we want to do because our soul, the voice of our soul, is constantly screaming out to us. You're capable of this. This is your mission. You're able to do, there are stories of the Kabbalists, one in particular, that it says one night before he became a master Kabbalist, he was a nice man, kind man. It'd be like all of us. I'm sure there's plenty of people around us who would say, yes, we're nice and kind, we're helpful and friendly, we want to do good in the world, that sort of thing. But we may not be living our true potential. So this Kabbalist had a dream that he went up into the upper worlds, as people do after they leave the world, and he was being questioned by the heavenly court. So, well, where are all the books that you wrote? And he's telling them, what books? He says, I was a nice man, I was a businessman, I helped, I did, caring things, I did good deeds, I gave charity, I helped people. What books? And then they told him, and where are all the students? The thousands of students that you have? And he said something simply. He said, what students? He said, what wisdom did I have to share? I was just a nice person, raised a nice family, did nice things, participated in my community, etc. And when he woke up, he realized what he was being shown was his possibilities, what his soul is capable. And at that point, it woke him out of this brainwashed, hypnotic state to realize he has the potential, and in his case, he did manifest them. He wrote many books, he had thousands of students that he taught spirituality. He taught this wisdom, and therefore transformed thousands and tens of thousands of lives from also their spiritual stupor, their brainwashed hypnotic state, into waking up into the tree of life reality. So you and I have to ask ourselves the same thing. And remember, when we're having these visions or imaginings of what we could be doing, what we would like to be achieving, etc., and then we hear the voice of that competitor. Well, you can't do this, look at you, no experience, you're too this, too that. As we said before, think of those limiting thoughts, things that you don't feel or don't believe you have the capability to change or to do or to transform. Almost 21 years ago, there was 9/11. And shortly after 9/11, the Rav, my teacher, our teacher, was in a Friday night gathering, spiritual connection, and he looked at us just shortly after 9/11. And we were maybe 100, 120 people. And he says, you know, on 9/11, 19 people committed and unified. And he said, no, I don't agree with what they did, but I understand how they were able to do it. There was commitment of purpose and unity towards that. He says 19 people changed the world. In essence, from that point forward, to this day, we are still being impacted worldwide by essentially what those 19 people did. And then the Rav looked at us. We're more than 19 people. Why can't we, or why aren't we, changing the world for good, for the better? And of course, for many of us, it struck us and began waking us out of our stupor, out of our brainwashed false identity of limitation, incapability. Not everybody was awakened, but some. And in the years between then and now, more and more people have been awakening. Because it, like with the Pinchas, like with the 4-minute mile, with so many other things, an inventor, or what we would call an inventor, is basically one person who perceives from the tree of life something that's available for us that we didn't see, we may not even believe such a thing was possible, and made it manifest. The Rav and Karen, for me, the most important thing or valuable thing for me is that in about 1969, the Rav and Karen, two people, took the mission from the Rav's teacher, Rav Brandwein, who took from his teacher, Rav Ashlag, and it's now 100 years from Rav Ashlag beginning to really bring, even it was a small group for a few people, but bringing this wisdom, universal wisdom of Kabbalah, of the soul, out into public, to the world. Two people, the Rav and Karen, against all odds, against all of the tradition of the naysaying of Kabbalah, or you can't teach it in public, or whatever the false brainwashed limitations were, because they felt from their soul. They woke up out of their stupor. They woke up out of that brainwashing, and they knew that their mission was to bring this wisdom to the world. And those two people, starting basically truly with nothing, and I would encourage you, if you haven't read it yet, Karen's book, which is basically a memoir, Two Unlikely People, starting with nothing, but commitment, the unity between the two of them, and the absolute certainty in the power of the light in them. In my world and in the world around us, they changed the world. There's more that we have to do to manifest it all, but they've changed the world. Starting with those two, now there have been, in just the years of the Rav and Karen, millions of people who've come through the center, learned, understand the power of the Zohar, the various tools we have, what the spiritual purpose, why we came into this world, why we left the endless world, what we're meant to achieve in this world, and how to do that. Because it's great to say, well, this is what you're supposed to do, but if you don't have a recipe or steps to follow, you'll never get there, at least not in a merciful way, in a more painless way. So they gave us also the ways and means, the tools, etc. And they changed certainly my life. And if you're watching, they've changed your life. And you can ask students, and I'm sure you have friends also that are in classes, that they've changed their life. They had that certainty. They've helped to wake us up. So now, let's remember that you are superhuman. You're divinity incarnate. You have the powers that you can achieve what you're imagining, that truly comes from the light of your soul. There's a story, one of my favorite Baal Shem Tov stories, and it fits this nicely. So there was the Baal Shem Tov who had been very awakened out of his stupor, who could create miracles, things we would consider miracles. So one day he was in a town, and this man came who was relatively illiterate, but he had a prayer book that he wanted to know from the Baal Shem Tov some of the Kabbalistic meditations, because he wanted to be more closer connected to his creator, to the light force, to his pure and perfect soul. But again, he didn't know how to pray. So the Baal Shem Tov took the man's prayer book, and they put notes in it, he explained it, whatever, and the Baal Shem Tov left. And he's heading on towards his next destination. And shortly thereafter, this man who had the pieces of paper in his prayer book with the notes of the Baal Shem Tov, the kids were playing, they knocked over the prayer book, and the pages came out. So now he's, a little panicked. How's he going to put it back? This great Kabbalist just gave him directions, what to do, how to meditate, etc. So he picked up all the papers and he ran to chase the Baal Shem Tov, and ask him to help him put those papers back in order. So as he's running after the Baal Shem Tov, he sees ahead of him the Baal Shem Tov took a handkerchief, had come to a river, and basically he took a handkerchief that he put on the water, and then he walked across the river on the water. So this man running after the Baal Shem Tov is calling, master, master, wait, help me. So as the man got to the river, he put the handkerchief down and he ran across, and he catches up with the Baal Shem Tov. And when he comes to the Baal Shem Tov looks, he says, Master, I need your help. The papers fell. And the Baal Shem Tov's looking. I said, wait a second. How did you cross that river? He says, well, I happen to see you put the handkerchief on it and you crossed it, so I just put my handkerchief and crossed it also. The lesson being, he didn't think about that he couldn't walk on water. He didn't think about that you sink in the water. He saw his teacher, the master Kabbalist, the Baal Shem Tov, walk on the water. And because we all have that divine power, he just did it. Because in that moment, he broke out of the trance. Why? Because his desire to be more strongly connected to his pure and perfect soul, to the pure light of the Creator, he was therefore in the tree of life consciousness as he was walking in the tree of knowledge, good and evil realm of the five senses, the physical world, but he was transcended because he forgot those limitations and he crossed the water. What about for us? How are you and I going to apply that concept? So I ask you, forget the grudge, forget the resentment you may have, and forgive. The grudge, the resentment, the animosity is part of the world of the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Holds you back. May not even impact that other person, but it's definitely impacting you and me. So forget that brainwashed limitation, trance. Well, I have to hold resentment or animosity because of what they did. No, I don't have to. And you and I realize not good for me either. So forget the grudge and forgive. Free yourself from the trance, from the spiritual sleep that's keeping you back from your blessings. Overcome your sense of limitation. There's not enough. I don't have enough. I can't get any more. And be more charitable. Give charity. Make donations to help make the world a better place. Forget. Don't listen to the voice of the competitor that wants to take your light. Don't listen to that voice and hold on to guilt. Forget the guilt. Do what you need to do to draw from the light of your soul to repair that mistake. Erase the mistake that you've been holding on to that's created guilt, limitations, connection to the world of ups and downs, the world of light and darkness, the world of good and bad, chaos and order. Start having certainty that you have the powers of the Creator, that you've been given a soul filled with the light of the Creator, and we are meant to use them as Pinchas did. Stop the plague, stop the chaos in the world. Look at the world. The world is plagued in so many ways today. It's up to you and I who are waking up out of that trance to use the light within us to remove the plague, to help wake up other peoples. Use the tools. If you've studied in the center, using the tools helps speed up that awakening. In other words, once we have the opening, as hopefully we're all getting today, the faster we use the tools of the soul, Zohar, Anabakoach, 72 names, as we're going to do today also, the idea of spiritual connections, giving, tithing, charity. So we said even the forgiveness and the repairing our guilt. As we start focusing on, I want to be closer to the Creator, the pure light. I want to reveal more of my soul's light. I want to remove the pain and suffering from the world. Then let's remember, as we close, life is full of stories, people defeating the odds, as with the man following the Baal Shem Tov, as the 4-minute mile. Let's take that as an example for us. Think of somebody, maybe another person in your life, who has defeated the odds to achieve goodness, to help other people, to bring truly more lasting light and blessing to the world. They overcame their trance and made the world a better place. And then commit yourself today, constantly first to remind ourselves we are pure and perfect beings of light. Truly, we are the light of the Creator incarnate in this world. And let's break more of our trance, get out of our spiritual brainwash limitations, and let's set the example for the other 8 billion people on this planet that the good that they feel they're supposed to have is real, as they wake up out of that trance and see our examples of overcoming our blockages, our guilt, our shame, our fear, our limitations. And they see that. As many of you probably are here because friends that you know, and you've seen them overcome their old behaviors of negativity and express new and become happier. And that drew you into at least asking them why, and them sharing with you. I learned at the Kabbalah Center, I've watched Spiritual Sunday, etc. as we will do more and more of that, and more of us will gather, good will also attract good. The awakening, and if we each not only remind ourselves, but remind everybody else that they are also truly pure and perfect beings of light, then we can remove this trance that we're in, see who we really are, bond all of the 8 billion pieces of our one soul with love and peace and harmony and joy. And that, my friends, is heaven on earth. May it be something that we bring into revelation in our time. God bless. So as we do every Sunday, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your constant support. Without your donations, without your financial gifts, we could not continue to do what we're here to do. Spreading the Zohar, and this is the one I keep in my pocket, so it does look a little worn. But if you don't have a pocket-sized Zohar, get one. Call your local center, go on Kabbalah.com, at least get that. We also have a new version, and I'm sorry I didn't bring one here, the medium size, let's call it, Sacred Zohar, that's dedicated to the Rav and Karen in appreciation for all the work they've done, as we even mentioned today, to fight thousands of years of lies about who the Zohar belongs to, who this wisdom of Kabbalah belongs to, and literally brought it out to every person on earth. Jew, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, atheist, didn't matter. Anybody who wanted access has access. So our ultimate mission, spread so much Zohar, bring hundreds of thousands, millions of people to come learn this wisdom, that we will be able to achieve shortly the critical mass of light, which will shift the balance of power in the cosmos forever to the side of the tree of life, reality, that more people will wake up out of their spiritual trance, and we will more speedily be living in that heaven and earth. So as we do every Sunday, let me post it here. This is the link that you can send in your donations. But let's take a moment just to meditate. And since we're all online, I have nobody here that's physically doing this, but we'll do it together. We always start with gratitude. Gratitude and appreciation is a way of opening ourselves, expanding our openness, as we call it, our vessel, to reveal and manifest greater blessings in all ways: peace, love, prosperity, protection, health, vitality. Grateful, acknowledging the light of the Creator that's been implanted in our soul. Gratitude for this wisdom, for the center that teaches us and whose mission is to remove pain, suffering, and death from the landscape of humanity. Grateful to have the opportunity to use what the Creator has given us through our making the effort to share and reveal our talents and abilities, all of our love, kindness, and compassion, and now the opportunity to pay back the cosmos by giving of the resources that ultimately come from the Creator, to spread the tools and the wisdom that wake up the heart and soul of 8 billion people on the planet. And we inject our love, our light, that our gift is speeding, accelerating the process of waking people out of their stupor to see the truth that we are all one, that lasting blessings, eternal bliss is a reality, and that we all strengthen our desire to manifest peace, eternal blessings, the power of unity and oneness. And we're grateful for the understanding that as we share, the more we share, the more the universe can share with us in return. Greater love, prosperity, peace, health, all the blessings that the Creator has implanted in us. And together we say, Amen. So let's take a few minutes to do our meditation. This is one of the 72 names. For those of you who are newer, the Hebrew Aramaic letters are actually particles of the light of the Creator, or as Karen often called them, portals. They are openings that will allow us to connect to the endless world, the truly infinite endless light, through each one of these conduits. So this name is Mem, Yud, Chaf, and the combination of these three energies awaken the power to reveal that which is concealed inside of us. So the part of us that's asleep, the part of us of our soul's potential that's hiding, if you will, in that hypnotic, illusionary, brainwashed trance, it's another way we can accelerate the awakening. So the key is just looking at it, allowing it to be engraved in your mind's eye, the shape, the names, the sounds, Mem, Yud, Chaf. And now if I can ask you, sitting comfortably in your seat, feet flat on the floor, hands on your lap, a few deep breaths, just breathing in through your nose, the breath of life, which contains the infinite light of the Creator. Breathe in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment so that light and that light force of air, oxygen and light can infuse from head to toe, and exhale through your mouth, allowing all the tension, blockages, disbelief to be cleansed outside of you, expunged from your being, removed from holding you back anymore. Consciously breathing in the light of the Creator, infusing it from head to toe, awakening more and more of the light in you, and exhale, letting go of your limitations, all your blockages, false beliefs. And now let's envision Mem, Yud, Chaf. See the letters radiating the light of the Creator, shining bright, sparkling, glowing, the vibration you feel, love, warmth, kindness, the true peace, unconditional love of the Creator. Now draw those particles of light, the light of the Creator. Draw them in through the top of your head. Let them radiate this light, revealing the concealed, that which has been hidden. And let those letters Mem, Yud, Chaf settle in the midst of your heart. Feel that vibration being raised, the vibration of pure unconditional love, the ultimate of that which is concealed inside of us. Love is unity. Love is the oneness of all humanity. Think of one area, one situation that you right now, using this support, this awakening of light, committing yourself to shine more light in those areas with that person that you may have held a grudge, held a blockage, someplace you've allowed yourself to not believe your divine superpowers. Use this awakening of the Mem, Yud, Chaf to right now beam light out of your heart to those people, that situation. Forgiveness, tolerance, compassion, or repairing your mistake. And refilling that person, those people, with the light that you took from them or blocked with that action, that mistake. It's being repaired, healed. You're being uplifted, they're being uplifted. Feel those good vibes of revealing light through that situation of darkness. Commit yourself to do whatever the voice of your soul is telling you. Maybe a phone call, maybe some action, whatever it may be, to fully manifest this healing, this repair, this transformation. And now, through that situation, those people, see a beam of light extending out from that situation, reaching out to the heart and the soul of every person on the planet, directly to their heart and their soul. Mem, Yud, Chaf. Beaming that light to the receptor site that is in them as it has been in us, of the Mem, Yud, Chaf. That this energy, this frequency of the light of the Creator awakening them out of their trance, feeling this new awakening of the awareness of their superpowers of creation, hearing the voice of their soul louder than the voice of their competitor, their opponent. Envision them already acting towards others with greater love, unconditional love, kindness, compassion, forgiveness. Now, as you elevate yourself, rise and transcend to see the bigger picture. See all humanity, all the planet in one view, and envision the Mem Yud Chaf above the planet, the beam of light shining through Mem Yud Chaf and shining an encompassing sphere of light, enveloping all of the planet, revealing all which has been concealed. Peace, love, unity, harmony, in the Garden of Eden of heaven on earth. Engrave this feeling, this powerful vibration of love, of oneness and unity, that it remains now and forevermore, engraved in your heart, engraved in your mind, engraved in your vision. And we commit ourselves to continue this awakening, taking more and more actions, sharing our light, self-sacrifice, meaning giving up the tree of knowledge, good and evil, to live in the tree of life. Taking one more deep breath to anchor and solidify this within us. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. So I want to thank you all for joining us and sending you lots of love and blessings. Love to hear from you, whatever stories of transformation, and also along the way, questions you may have about something you've heard in the Kabbalah Center or on Spiritual Sunday that I can help clarify for you. And those of you who would like to have a one-on-one that is available, we can make those arrangements. Also, private messenger me, and we'll take care of that also. God bless. Have an amazing day, an amazing week.
Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.